Hi guys. As I am about to start with today's lesson on rural and urban settlements, I still believe that it's a great time also to pass this message that may we kindly and always fight against gender-based violence. Remember that this starts with you in your community, wherever you are. This is where we start. We fight it not only when it affects you, but even if it affects someone. What you say can help someone. Your silence can destroy someone. So, yes, let us get to today's lesson with me, DRS.
Right. As we continue with our lesson today, rural and urban settlement. Right. Um, don't forget to post your questions so that we can work with them and try to answer some that you may be having. Right. Right. The rural and urban settlement. Right. And it starts here. I think I'm just gonna take about 15 minutes and we'll see how far we get, and probably we can also continue with it some other time. Ne? Right, I'm starting here. What is settlement? Ne? Right, now settlement, we are referring to a grouping of people, a grouping of buildings, a grouping of communication networks, a grouping of activities which function as a single unified system on daily basis. In other words, um, this group functions as one. You look at your community, for example, where you stay. There are people, there are buildings, and then people are able to communicate. Your communication networks, including this can include your telephones, your email, so on and so on, and different activities. you know Depending on where you are, you would find that there are primary, secondary, or even tertiary activities. And all those, they function together as one unit. you know right, they function together as a single unit. Right, now we also learn the following, that settlement is classified according to size, and according to size, that would be from the smallest to the largest. And we have two types of settlements, which are your rural and your urban areas. Now, under rural, we have three, which are your isolated farmstead, your hamlets, you have your village. Ne? Then under the urban, you have your town, your city, your metropolis, conurbation, and the megalopolis. Now, guys, I want you to check this. We have put this from their smallest to the largest. In other words, the smallest settlement of them all should be your isolated farmstead, and the largest of them all should be a megalopolis. Now, we'll look at how they are distinguished: your urban and your rural settlement. Um, we have the rural areas and the urban. Now, in most cases, rural areas are single functional in most cases. In most cases. I admire and I recognize that nowadays, especially in most of our villages, we do have our shops, where they sell, and that goes to be your tertiary activity. Yeah, so hence I say in most. Then we have, uh, in most cases, that's primary activities though. Whereas in urban areas, we have multifunctional, which is your secondary and your tertiary. Right. Remember that if perhaps I'm moving too fast, you can pause the video. You can just pause it, and you can take the notes if you take them. Plus, nowadays you guys use the screenshots and so on. Now, why are dispersed settlements better from an economic point of view? Dispersed. Now we have nucleated, we have dispersed. So nucleated, it means they are closer together. Buildings are closer together, whereas dispersed are far apart from each other. Right. Now, the dispersed one, we're gonna have a large single farm. Now, this is my, let's say, look at your home where you are, and then you find that another house, perhaps, or another building is about, let's say, a kilometer or 2 kilometers away from you. Now, you find that from this point of view, you have this huge land, area of land that you have. Now, if you are a farmer, now it means that you can do more. Now, you manage the farm yourself, you can make independent decisions. You can still live on your farm, meaning there won't be traveling. And then you also have mechanization, which is easy. And then on the nucleated ones, you have, now, because dintlo ke tse dintsi, the kgobokane, you find that you just have just patches, small pieces of land that are there and there, you know, and then you also have your foreman managers. Now you find that in most cases there are people who manage the land. There is no independent decision. It is not just your land alone. And then there's lots of traveling, and mechanization can be difficult. I don't know if there are any questions thus far, but nonetheless, let's just move on. And we start with the rural settlement. Right. Now, when we look at rural settlement, we start with factors that influence the site. In other words, factors that influence where we have a particular village. Right, now we have water, we have soil, we have fuel, meaning source of energy, we have building material, and we have uh, the warmth. Yes, even though I wrote the face of the sun. Now, with this, this is the early settlement. I think we can all agree that we started by having rural areas before we could have um, urban areas. Now, a rural area is an early settlement. Now, people needed water. So you find that if there was a source of water somewhere, people would tend to build or to settle around that particular site. Now, again, the fertile soil, people did not need just water, they needed food, you know, and that means they needed to plant. So you cannot plant where there is no fertile soil. So they needed both water, they needed fertile soil. Now, where there was fertile soil, then they could be able to do what? To plant, their crops. Then we also have fuel. Fuel are bolele ka 95 le 93 unleaded, your petrol and so on. No, no, no. But we are talking about the source of energy, particularly where they can find the wood and so on, so that they can make fire, they can be able to cook whatever food that they needs to be cooked. Now, people also need that building materials, early settlement, then they would go to a site whereby they are more likely to get building materials. Then, face of the sun, that's generally to say that uh, they needed a place where it is warm. There's warmth. For example, you as a geographer, we've taught you, or your teachers have taught you, that in the southern hemisphere, all the north facing slopes are warmer. So people would want that warmth, So that would mean that they would go for those slopes that are facing north. Now, I think this picture over here, uh, um, it summarizes what I've been saying. Ne? It summarizes what I've been saying. Um, people would need the wood, which would give them the fuel and the building materials, fertile soil, and so on, right? Now, we also have the different shapes, of this settlement. You find that some settlements are, are round shaped, some they are crossroad, some they are in a linear shape. So, but remember that it is because of those factors, that influence the site. Ne? Right. Now, we have those three shapes, which is your round shape, your crossroad, and your linear shape. Now, all these things, they are because of those factors that influence the site. Ne? Now, maybe for today, get on this one. Ne? And it goes together with the the shapes, as to what is it that you remember from the patterns. Now the first question would be, what is the pattern of the settlement at D and A? Now at D, when you look at it, that is a round shape. Why would you say it's a round shape? And then you can see there is that source of water. It is around, that settlement is around the water, where they would find water supply. Then number two, it says, what is the shape of settlement at B and yes, at B. Okay, yeah, the one at D we've already mentioned. So the one at D would be what? Would be linear. Wa e lebella gore I believe it's making sense now, right? And then you'll also answer the other ones. So for today, guys, let us just stop here, ne? And probably when I come again with them, I would also give you an ample time uh, for you to join with your friends. And from me to you guys, thank you for watching, and have a lovely evening.